What is this? April. Good grief. April's almost over. We've been doing this for 4 months this year. Um, Ordinarily we would have met last weekend, but last weekend I went to VCF East in Wall, New Jersey, and it took place at a place they call the InfoAge Science Computer Museum, something like that. It's a former Army radio radar research facility. I saw more oddball radar units than I ever could imagine existed. I learned that Loran is not a brand name, but a kind of radar that was developed during World War II. I always assumed it was just that little spinny thing on top of people's boats. Turns out it's, ancient. I didn't get to go to any of the talks, but I saw plenty of interesting things. There was a large consignment room um, full of all kinds of things that I had only seen in magazines. As my friend, when I walked in the door of the consignment room, the first thing I spotted was this old, they're all old, I guess, Otrona Attaché portable computer, which is a CPM computer, but smaller than a Osborne, literally narrower, not as tall, not as deep, but I think the screen is a little bit bigger than the Osborne screen. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. I've never seen one of those before. And right next to it were like four Kaypros, everything from a Kaypro 2 to a Kaypro 10. Um, Wandering around in the consignment room was, uh,
Well, how are the prices?
oh, I mean, the Otrona was, I think, priced at like 350 or something, which I don't know, to me seems like a reasonable price for something I'd never actually seen in real life before, right? Um, there was also the usual assortment of like M size and all kinds of other stuff like TI-99 4As in boxes. There was a fair number of Atari, ST, TT kinds of stuff. Macs, old Macs. I think somebody was selling some Lisas. Just all kinds of crazy stuff. Um, so as I'm wandering around, there's a second Atrona. I mean, running into one, is like kind of surprising enough. But it turns out like pretty much at the other end of the table, um, was another one. It was pretty strange. Um, in terms of the displays, there was a room probably about the size of a bedroom that was just HeathKit stuff. So there was an H9 terminal, which was their first terminal that they made. The H8, of course. Bunch of H19s, H89s. All the Z80 or 8080 and Z80 based Heathkits. There weren't. I don't recall seeing any more modern Heath computers. But what kind of blew me away was that somebody also had an H11 there, which was um, L. There was their PDP-11
Yeah,
clone.
it was made in conjunction with LSI, I believe.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to say, and it had an LSI-11 processor.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it was somehoh made in conjunction with LSI, and there's the same thing. LSI had a version, and Heathkit had a version,
oh, I didn't know about
and
LSI
they
had a
seem to
version.
look the same, but like the badges are slightly different or something like that.
Okay.
Um, I think Jason at VCF Midwest, he has at least one of them. I think that I've seen, and I don't know anybody else that has one.
Well, they were, the like the base level H8 was about $400, and the base level H11 was $1,300 when they came out. So, a little more expensive and a little less, likely to be, purchased by hobbyists. But then again, if you bought one, you were, you were became part of Decus, the digital equipment something something something, the education group that they had, user group. Um, there was a table full of Apple's twos going from, the regular old Apple II to the 2Cs and um, all those different models. They were right next to us, as a matter of fact. There was a guy right next to us who had a relay-based computer, and I got to talking to him, and it turns out he's from Dayton, Ohio. And so I was like, "Oh, do you know Gary Ganger from?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah." He starts telling me about the Dayton microcomputer.
Microcomputer Association,
Thank you.
yes.
Yes, yes. And
That's Stephen
how
Fry. The guy
how
you're talking to was Stephen
was
Fry.
it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. He was telling me about how they, made so much money off of their computer meetings back in the 80s that they're still coasting on that cash. And then also the Dayton Museum of Art paid them a fair chunk of change for their domain name, which was dma.org. So now the Dayton Microcomputer Association is dma1.org. So I'm talking to him and he's telling me about the relay computer. I was thinking, oh, you know, there was a guy at VCF Midwest last year who was like right around the corner, same sitting space as us, same set of tables, who also had a relay. He says that was me.
Yes.
I guess we're just destined to be next to each other at these things. Very, very funny. Um, Also, right next to us was the 1802 folks, and this is the RCA 1802 processor, which went into one of the very first little computer kit projects that was published in Popular Electronics back in 76 or so. Also, RCA built game systems called the RCA Studio and Studio 2 um, with it. Also, this 1802 is unlike regular CPUs, which are all silicon based. This uses a process that RCA had called silicon on sapphire, which kind of made it more resistant to radiation. And so it was used in some of the probes that are still leaving our orbit that were launched a gazillion years ago or 50 years ago. Um, so a bunch of nice folks from
You know,
there
I read on Wikipedia that that actually isn't quite true, but
about the radiation thing.
no, the radiation thing is quite true, but that they weren't those exact processors weren't used on the probes. I don't know.
There's like one, but everybody conflates it into all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was used in a Pioneer. I don't remember the exact model, which one of those probes it was used in, but one of the probes has the 1802 in it. What was really cool is the 1802 was invented, designed by this guy named uh, oh shoot, Joe Weisbecker, Joseph Weisbecker, and his daughter was there, and she had written games for the system back in the 70s, and is thus the first female video game designer. So that was cool to get to meet her. Um, Lots of other just sort of random computer stuff, like
Was she
some.
signing cartridges and things like that, or what was the deal with that?
She was just sitting there talking to folks all day,
Okay.
for both days. I don't know if the RCA. I think the RCA did have
Yeah, it was the first
cartridges.
cartridge system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of other random stuff, like somebody had a table full of really small laptops, like the Pocket and the Atari, um, whatever the Atari Pocket uh, PC was called, the
Portfolio.
HP portfolio. Yeah, the little HP, like I think it's HP 200 or something like that. All these really, really small laptops. Um, there was a guy who had a display that intersected ham radio and microcomputers, and mostly about use of microcomputers or things like teletype machines to do packet communications over ham radio. But also he had a cool slow scan TV display set up, and there is no way I'll ever forget this. The guy directly across from us was an Amiga guy, and he spent all day explaining to people how the Amiga could do, video overlays and, how exciting this was to him when he first saw it and et cetera. And all I could think was, yeah, but the TI 9918 video chip could do that before the Amiga. Anyway, let
But
me,
not as nicely.
no, absolutely not. But it was
The
still,
TI also might have lacked some marketing.
oh, you think?
And the Amiga as well.
Shoot, where's, oh,
I was saying the Amiga did the marketing better than the
oh yeah,
TI did
Oh,
on
no,
that.
yeah.
I'm being a little obnoxious, but the Amiga was amazing, and it was fantastic to hear him talk about, all the cool hardware and stuff, and he's talking about the, like the difference between chip RAM and bit planes, and it's like, yeah, cool. I haven't heard about that in ages. I'll share you. I'm going to share some pictures. Some are
Okay.
mine. Some are pictures I downloaded off the interwebs. So this is an Apple One, or just an apple, which was on display. And this is there were like 50 of these wooden cases made by a company called Byte Shop, a store that sold these things for those dudes. Um, here's
Now,
that. Go
David,
ahead.
are those reproduction Apple ones?
That's a good question. I assumed that they were the real deal,
Because I know that Apple ones go for truly astronomical
like
prices.
50,000 at least. Yeah. I wonder if I can throw this into
No,
like
okay,
another.
so an actual Apple One will go for hundreds of thousands of dollars these days.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, we're not even in the 50K range. We're well above that.
Do you think that this was a real or a repro then?
I do not know. I know from what I had heard a while ago, there are 10 known currently exhibited Apple Ones still in existence.
Okay.
Total. They think there are others in private collections, but people don't talk about them.
Yeah.
So I know that there is somebody on the East Coast who has at least one of them, and it might be two people, two of the different people who have like big warehouses and collections or whatever. But I know at least one of them somewhere on the East Coast has an actual Apple One. But I know that like one of the guys in my Cincinnati group, I think purchased a board and he's working on building the reproduction Apple One,
Okay.
which, obviously will be not involve parts quite as old in
Right.
theory.
Well,
So it could be either.
the date codes on the capacitors are 1976, but I
Yeah, but
suppose.
these guys are going around looking for the parts that are from
Oh my
that
God. Of
era in order
course.
to, make sure that it's as authentic as possible
Makes
and so on and
sense.
so forth.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, it's very, very hard at this point to really know.
Okay. I didn't pay that close attention to the signage to know whether this was real or not. Um,
I mean, I think you could tell by the way the board is generated versus the how the original board was generated. You could probably tell if you knew what you were looking at and knew what you were looking for, but I don't have that kind of knowledge, so.
yeah, and that's definitely not me. I don't have that kind of knowledge for sure. Um, anyway, here's some later apples from the Midwest Computer Museum. This was the table that was just down from us. And then here's
Hey, David, will you go back to that picture
yeah,
of the two of just the Apple IIs?
yeah.
What is the deal with that little TV? Like I see that in a lot of old pictures from like I don't know, I
This
guess
the
it's the
the
70s.
monitor over on the left.
Yeah, like it
That
seems was it popular at the time or
Yes, yeah. That's a
okay.
security
Okay. Is that
monitor,
what
but
it
those were
was?
really really popular.
All
Uh,
right.
That's what people
Al-
could afford then.
I see.
Also, a lot of those monitors are pretty high quality, actually,
yep.
and there are people who sell them for hundreds of dollars these days
Hmm.
if you want to go buy one of those things.
Oh
And they're
wow.
just
Um,
black and white, right?
Yeah.
Or yeah, okay.
Not
Yeah.
all, no, a lot of them are color.
Oh,
Oh,
are
It
they?
all depends.
okay.
I've only
I've
seen
got
the
some
black
that
and white
are,
ones.
I've got actually mostly color ones. I don't know that I have any black and white ones.
Hmm. Okay. How does you zoom to fit? There we go. Now I won't have to make these bigger for you. Oh, except that why is that not zooming to fit? Come on. There we go. Um, this guy, where was this guy? He was in the room with he was in the room with the synthesizers. You can see the synthesizers off to the left. Um, there was a couple synthesizers, but also old MIDI computers. Yamaha made a laptop that had like 8 MIDI out jacks on it back in the 80s. And Atari made a Stacy that was um, a portable ST used largely for music. Um, yeah.
Right.
So,
In the ST world, you hear about the music. In the Amiga world, you hear about, Babylon 5.
oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't even know that. Okay.
yeah.
Um, you guys probably recognize these various computers and stuff. Um, that plastic case is the carrying case that Timex made. There's my Cradle computer keyboard case rather. The 1000. Um, I brought my little cassette players to sort of show people how the 2020 was related to the Radio Shack, and then the bizarre other model that I had found on eBay. There's Ricardo showing off his off our stuff. There's Mike. Mike came down from Brick.
Yeah, he posted that picture to the group.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Here's our
I
sort of.
came up from brick.
Oh, up was it? Oh,
Up.
is it? Okay.
The walls up. Head
Oh, I
on
didn't know
down.
that.
I'm southern from there.
Oh, okay, okay.
22
So
miles. 22
David, that
miles. Huh?
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said wall is up north and I'm south from that.
Got
22
it.
miles.
Oh, I didn't realize. Adam, what were you gonna say?
Oh, is that version of the States and Capitals the recently fixed one?
No, this is
Broken
the
one?
tap file that is on the SD card. So no, it's not fixed.
Oh man, how
Yeah.
disappointing.
And people were trying to answer, the questions, but it's like persnickety about capitalization. And they would type in, all in lowercase, and it would say, no, Austin is not the capital of Texas. And then, yeah, just sort of close up of those things. I think, why did I take another picture of a long shot? Oh, and we were messaging Ryan saying we wanted a new version of this menu program that he wrote for the TS Pico. So here is Ricardo working on his computer at the same time that I'm messaging Ryan. And that guy that you see in the background beyond Ricardo, that's the Amiga guy.
Oh, okay.
And then then further beyond that is all of this ancient radar microwave tube stuff that's just crazy.
And it kind of lives there, is that right? Or
I'm sorry?
does it kind of live there because it's part
Yeah,
of like
yeah,
a
yeah.
yeah,
It's a
okay.
permanent display.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I learned about Loran. And there's all these big metal tubes and microwave stuff. There's an ancient microwave from like the um I don't know. It looked like it was from the late '60s or maybe very early '70s there. So good times. By day 2, my voice was shot, and so I started to sound like Frogger. Um, yeah. So that was what we did. Oh, I'm sorry. And then as was it Mike that mentioned it? Ricardo and I. It was supposed to end at 3 o'clock on Sunday, and Ricardo and I started packing up, and because by 2:30 there was like nobody left, and we're standing there, and these two cops go walking by. One of them's carrying an M16. I'm like, what the? Um, and then somebody comes up to us and says, "Oh, they're evacuating the building. You have to leave the building." And we're like, okay. So we all, literally, everybody goes out in the parking lot. And, more cops show up and we're standing around like, well, what's going on? And more cops show up with dogs and they're going through the entire complex, with their bomb sniffing dogs. Turns out somebody had called in that, there was some kind of incident, which was turned out to be a swatting incident. Wasn't a real bomb. At least if there was, the dogs couldn't sniff it past the radar tubes. or microwave tubes. Um, and so we had to, wait around in the rain. We got in our cars, wait around in the rain for about like 2 hours for them to finally clear the place and let us back in to gather up our stuff. But some folks who needed to leave at some specific time, like they had a flight or whatever, they were really really panicky, as you might imagine.
When you guys all got back in the building, the Apple One was gone, right?
Um, what was gone was the Timex Sinclair 1000, the probably the single most valuable
Well, people
computer
take that for the
in.
keyboard. People take
What's
that
that?
for the keyboard. People take it for the keyboard.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes. Yeah, people were, marveling and complaining about the 81 1000 keyboard, and I'm like, you type on a phone these days with your thumbs on an even smaller, less responsive keyboard. Shut the up. Anyway, we had a good time. Also, um, you guys may remember there's a guy named James who's up in Maine, but who's originally from England, so he has, still has his accent. James came down from Maine, and it was really funny because he came up and introduced himself. He says, "James, this is, I'm James," and I'm like, I can recognize his voice, and I'm thinking, who, why do I know him? If he says from Maine, I'm like, oh yeah, because there's only one person from Maine amongst us. So James from Maine was there. It was really nice getting to hang out with him. Um, yeah, we all went out to dinner Saturday night, just a couple of us, to some like little faux restaurant or something like that. So good times. Driving through Pennsylvania and New Jersey on those sort of not throughway highways sucks. The road conditions are terrible. I bet Mowgli knows about that with all his driving.
There are some issues.
There's a few places. Anyway,
How far
uh,
was the drive for you?
I'm sorry.
How far was that drive?
About 7 hours.
7.
Yeah, like 400-ish, maybe more than 400 miles. I don't remember exactly.
So
Um,
you packed up on Sunday night, or you stayed till Monday?
well, so we actually went to from there. We went to Long Island to go hang out with Roberta's dad and his girlfriend,
I see.
and which meant uh driving up, you know, up New Jersey to I don't even know where it took us. It took us over a bridge, obviously. Um, and then like, these crazy little roads. We eventually got to the Southern State Expressway or something on Long Island, and um, yeah, it's just traffic was crazy because we didn't leave New Jersey until five something, and so but I mean, traffic around Manhattan and New York City, there is no pause. So it doesn't really mean, maybe for 4 seconds at 3:15 a.m. But beyond that, it's always just crazy traffic there. So no point in complaining. Um, yeah. And I still haven't unpacked my computers. I've had to live with emulators for the various projects that I've been posting to the list. Um, Ingo has stuff that he'd like to talk about, unless somebody else wants to jump in, but ahead of him.
What? My turn.
Take it away, Ingo.
So yeah, my brother and I have been hard at work.
Want to highlight them?
Uh,
There
all
we go.
right.
Sorry.
Hi, everybody. Um, yeah, so my brother and I have been hard at work. We've been making bug fixes and kind of cleaning up our 3D case model. And I've been printing out prototypes and sending him back updates and changes. We're making minor adjustments here and there to make sure we've got good fit and good reproducibility. We're this close to publishing all our open source files. So uh, our Joe, those STLs, I promised them a long time ago. It's been a very long time. I know you've been asking. I know you're like itching, you and a bunch of other people. So we are going to make good on that promise very soon. We just don't want to release something that's got a bunch of issues. So I am a perfectionist. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to wait that long, but I want it to be as painless an experience as possible. And so I'm going to share. Let me switch my camera.
You need to turn
And
off your background too,
yeah, I was getting ready to do that next.
because otherwise your hand is just in the middle of the ocean there,
Oh, look at
manipulating
that.
that wave.
Yeah. Woo. Woo-hoo-hoo. Maybe I can mess with the surfer.
Hmm.
Godzilla hand. Um, let's see, virtual backgrounds, none. Okay, here we go. So get the keyboard out of the way. Let's put a little bit of light on the
Hey,
subject.
Ingo, can I ask you a question real quick?
Of course.
Are you aware of a commercially available low profile keyboard that someone could use those keycaps on?
Um, there probably are.
Okay. But you don't have
But
one in mind that
but
you've used.
no, not yet.
Okay.
So one of the things that um, Misha and I've been working on is he's created a new 3D model for a simple keyboard case. So it'll house the PCB that we have for the Kilo Z. And I'm actually conspiring with our buddy in New Zealand to put out an emulator keyboard. So it'll just be a keyboard. It'll have a USB port in the back. You can plug it into your modern day computer and have the keycaps with the mechanical key switches, and it'll be mappable and it'll have a buffer. So no more key punch delays, right? Missing keystrokes. And so right now the main push is the case, the Kilo Z case, and getting the open source files out there for the community. Um, then we're going to shift over to that emulator keyboard. I'll be able to share some pictures that my brother shared with me, but for now, let's see here, got this guy. So here's what, and I posted some pictures in some of the Facebook groups. David, I know you've seen them. I know you've sent likes.
Yeah.
So this is just printed in PLA, and I did it using the super fast mode. So this is not a high quality print, but it actually looks pretty decent. Obviously, I've got some issues here, some seam issues on this print. I didn't tell it to hide the seams, so
Hmm.
I've got seams in weird places. But and the print quality is not great because I'm printing in an unenclosed printer in my garage where the temperature shifts quite a bit throughout the day. So I've got like very pronounced layer lines here. But I
So,
mean,
Ingo, one could safely say that you are no seamstress.
yes, nice. Boom, boom. I like that. So yeah, this is by far not meant to be a high quality print. Uh, I'm running it as fast as I can, and I'm just checking fits, checking tolerances, making sure that let me see if I can pop the lid off here. I've got a little screwdriver here. Pop off the lid. And there we go. So there we go. So here's the case. And yeah, I mean, like I said, quality wise, it's not great, but um for quick iteration and to do our fine tuning, this is working out really good. This is the inside of the lid. And I just took a Sharpie here and went over, it
Oh,
is raised. You can kind of see that it's raised there. Um, and yeah, so this is all just, we're still prototyping and just fine tuning. And then very soon, I'm also working on a landing page. Let me get this out of the way here and show you guys this one. This one's really nice. This one's actually fully assembled. It's got the new keycaps on it. And these are the real pride and joy right now. Um, and it's got all the guts mounted inside. So there you can see the edge card connector. You can see the VGA port, the power supply port, and an actual power switch, which is very nice to have. And let me pop the top off of this one so you guys can see the other new change. So I'm working on a new Westby carrier board. Oops, let's try that again. There we go. So there's Misha made a new space here for the carrier board that is to come. So it'll have two screw points to mount it because right now this has been loose in the case for a long time. And so we'll have a mount right next to the motherboard like this. And that still frees up some space if we wanted to do any kind of power conditioning inside of here or something like that. And then you can tell I reduced the size of that massive heatsink we used to have. We used to have that monster heatsink. That's gone. And then the keyboard cable goes through this new slot that doesn't interfere with the housing, and goes straight into our gosh, it's so hard working in reverse video here. Because the image is reversed for me. And yeah, but yeah, this is the again, this was printed using super fast settings. The
yeah.
keyboard's fully screwed in. We have threaded inserts in the main body of the case,
Wow.
and we're using little uh, you know handhead flathead screws here,
Yeah.
and just your regular threaded inserts
Oh. Hmm.
that you heat up and push into the plastic,
Yeah.
and now you've got a place to screw into, and then the cover just kind of holds in by friction, by pressure. It just snaps right in, but it stays in really good. And then
Uh,
we've got our spaces here for the rubber feet. In fact, my brother sourced some material. It's like a 3M self-adhesive tape that comes in 10 millimeter, 20 millimeter, and 30 millimeter widths. And we'll be able to cut those and stick them in if we do the kit, that'll be included with the kit. So all the parts needed, including the VGA port already mounted, power jack, the switch already mounted with cables that'll plug into headers on the board, and we'll work that stuff out with Carl on the motherboard design going forward.
um, Ingo, I saw somebody had asked you about, I don't know, was maybe a clear case or something like that. And
Yeah, that's right.
I was having a conversation with maybe
It was
Ricardo
was
over
it
the
was it
weekend.
Jay Mundy that asked about it?
Yeah, maybe it was Jay. But I was talking to Carl and to Ricardo over the weekend. We were talking about the 2060 enclosure and and sort of setting it up so that we could display it at VCFs, um, and unfortunately there's no filament that makes a clear case. You can do
No,
it
not really well, not really
right. You
well.
can do it with resin, but still you have to do some stuff. But what
Yep.
occurred to me was just like you have that panel on the 2060 case, we can, have a modified version that has a panel just like yours, but put a piece of plexiglass in that. And
Hmm.
you could probably do the same thing with yours, except you have that tilted portion, so you'd have to modify the case a little bit to have a plexiglass panel. But that might
Yeah.
address Jay's desire to see the inner workings.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. Well, I know that you know that it would be possible to take a piece of thick enough plexiglass, mount it in a CNC, cut the bottom edges, and then put it into a jig with a heat press, right? Where you
Oh,
heat the plexiglass and then press it to get that bend.
that bend. Yeah.
So that would absolutely be possible. And that when he posted that idea, I was just like, oh, that's an excellent idea because it is such a neat thing to see the guts, right? I mean, we all love seeing the chips and the components and the traces and the motherboard. It's a thing of beauty, right? And us computer geeks love that kind of stuff. So um, definitely, we will be looking into making that happen. Um, I'm going to switch from this view and show a couple of pictures of the keyboard prototypes that my brother's been working on. If you guys are interested,
Yeah.
unless there's any more questions about kind of the Kilo Z right now.
No, well,
Yeah,
and no,
actually,
no, show the your little keyboard because that's what Michael Hart was trying to get at in the
Yeah, let me switch
in
my
the emails
camera
during the group.
here.
well, Jeff, did you have a question?
Yeah, Ingo, uh,
Yes.
in the spirit of galloping feature creep, um, is there a possibility that you and your brother could possibly make a hinged addition to this case so that you could mount, say, a 7-inch VGA display on it and that would fold down?
Funny that so that he does actually have that in a prototype. And the other thing is that I've got one of these because the Westby will output to a TFT, and I've seen
Ah,
on the Westby site where somebody is using one of these guys and literally mounted it into the top of their TS1000 case. So imagine having this with this kind of like cut and taped inside, right? The Kilo Z obviously has a heck of a lot more room for something like this. So you could imagine having, a display screen mounted in the top like
Yeah.
that.
yeah, I have 70-year-old eyes, so I need a
Right. And
large.
and and I me too, right? And that's why my brother actually has a model with an arm that, a screen that's adjustable and hinges. So it's kind of like a ZE laptop, right? And that's where I think wasn't it you that also brought up the idea of putting a LiPo battery under the keyboard?
I think that was David.
Oh,
Oh, was
maybe.
it David?
Yeah, we might
Yeah,
have been talking about the idea of a portable, essentially,
Because you could, right? I
yeah,
mean, if you
absolutely.
put a LiPo battery, there's plenty of room in the case. That's one of the really nice things about sizing the case to fit the keyboard. Now you've got all this other room, right? What do you do with it? You got to stuff stuff into it because that's just like a house. When you have storage, you got to fill it with stuff.
uh,
Have you seen the people who are basically using the Ryobi batteries to power fully portable? The ones that I've seen are a kid and his dad have been doing Cocos, the Coco 3s and the Coco 2s with a screen, and they have a basically a one of the holster things that holds the battery, and they're powering the whole thing off of the Ryobi battery.
Mhm. Mhm. I've been getting into the Milwaukee pack out stuff and all their M18 batteries, and they have this entire ecosystem. I mean, they have fans, lighting, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it's like your mind explodes with all the possibilities of the power in these pool batteries, right? And all the stuff you can do with it. Very awesome stuff. So let me pull up my photos here and let me find the most recent pictures of the my brother's keyboard designs. It's really cool. Um, it's going to be the Kilo ZE for emulator. I think I shared some early photos on a previous meeting. Let me zoom out a little bit more here so I can get a better view of these pictures. Here we go. Yeah, I think I did. I think I did share this picture last meeting I attended. Let's go to Zoom. Let's go share. And whoa, what is going on? Why isn't it giving me that option? Interesting. 1 second. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. I could have swore I had that open. And oh, is it because I haven't switched my camera? That's why. Okay, got it. Hang on. No, I did. What the heck is going on? Share. Greens. Did they change the UI for
Yes,
Zoom?
Zoom's UI changed and dramatically, and it's just been old.
It's like it's not showing this application window. Maybe if I close it and open it again, let's do that. Let me escape out of this. Out of that. Wow, this is really weird. Normally it's so easy to just share. Maybe I have to go to advanced.
Yeah,
No,
David was talking
screens.
about how they changed the UI and he did not
Makes
appreciate
it
it.
impossible. Well,
Yeah.
not
Oh
impossible. I'm
my
learning where
gosh.
the new allow people to share button is hidden.
Photos, quit photos. Okay, and let's go back. Let's try that one more time now. Oh, I gotta open photos and oh, maybe it's because my Zoom is maximized. I bet that's why. Maybe let's try this. Exit full screen, go to share. That's what it was. Wow, so
So
weird.
what you're saying is a user error.
User error, that's right. Operator error,
Operator, yeah. Yeah,
syntax
see,
error.
I think this might address what Mike was asking, but it looks like you have the keycaps on backwards.
He
I think
does.
this is what Mike
He's that
was
was
looking
a
for.
that was a test right there. He's testing you, and you passed the test. He's sneaky like that.
Um, yeah, I mean that would address Mike, Hart's need for a emulator keyboard without having a whole, setup.
Let's see. So here's some prototype cases. These snap the top and bottom halves snap together, and
Okay.
then these smaller holes are where the screws come in from the bottom. So this is not like the Kilo Z's mono case design. This is actually two separate halves, and you can see the bay in here. This cutout, this channel for the PCB and the bezel for the keyboard to fit in.
Interesting.
And then there's an opening in the back. Oops, hang on, let's
I
work.
told you we don't want to see those three-phase motors.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then there's a port in the back for USB.
Okay.
So you can plug it into your Windows machine or your Mac or your Linux box. And if you're running emulators,
Yeah.
then you can have the real keyboard instead of having to, mask or put stickers or change keycaps on a regular USB keyboard, right? Whatever your daily driver is. You don't need to mess with that. You can just plug this in, and it's like you're using a Kilo Z because you've got the better keyboard, but it'll work with the emulator. And with what Tim's been doing, not only does he have it so you can map your keys, but he's been playing with well, David, you've been in in our
Yeah.
email chain. So I really want to implement the buffer. I've been talking about that for a while. I just haven't had time to mess with it. Excuse me. Um, because you start typing any faster than the Zeddy can keep up with you, and you start losing keystrokes. So having the uh, Raspberry Pi Pico or a microcontroller in between allows you to buffer your keystrokes so that they're ready when the Zeddy's ready for them, and then you don't lose your keystrokes. Obviously, you're going to see your keystrokes happening in delay, but you're not going to miss keystrokes. So if you rattle off a quick line of code, you're not going to be missing something, have to go back and edit it, which I think is great. Um, but yeah, this design that my brother made here, you zoom in a little bit. You can see there, this has got the top has basically the bezel. And so you can put the circuit board underneath, snap the two pieces together, stick in your key switches, and Bob's your uncle, Danny's your aunt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Um, I've got
I
some
like the black and red.
pictures. Yeah, the black and red is cool, isn't it? Um, here's our just the standard black version with the keyboard for the traditionalists.
Yeah.
Got some
That looks like
different
brushed
views.
aluminum.
It does, huh?
The texturing, yeah, sort of.
Yeah, so in the slicers, you can select fuzzy skin and give it different amounts of bumpiness, which is kind of nice. So you get that retro computer textured look and
Yeah.
feel. Um, I took a bunch of pictures that I wanted to use with an AI model to create like a 3D model to rotate in the browser on the landing page. Might still do that. Um, and
Well,
then
you
I've
know
got
what?
some pictures.
We can volunteer Joe or Peyton to help you with the 3D modeling.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so here's some video of the printer printing the case. Will it play? Let's see.
22 seconds.
Is it playing for you guys?
No.
Weird. It's like maybe it's a permissions thing. Um, but yeah, so this is kind of I got it set to print at an angle so that you don't get the layer lines the same way.
Yeah.
Actually, I might be able to just manually scrub through the video. Let's see. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, here we go. So you can kind of see the supports to print it at that angle. But on this one, I got the that goofy. I didn't set my settings for the seam where it starts and ends a layer. So you get this weird goofy thing right here. If you guys can see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so this is that blue case while it was being printed, all the different supports for anything that overhangs. Um,
Wow. That's crazy.
and then when you pull all the supports off, this is really cool. There's like barely any marks on the case,
Looks like,
which is
like something from a fractal, a DOS fractal generator image.
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All these
Question: how much printer filament is taken up in doing the supports versus how much is actually in the case?
so that's one of the trade-offs, right? You're gonna use extra material. Um, and these tree supports are actually pretty economical. They're very thin-walled. It's a single layer. You're not throwing a ton of filament at it. It's just enough to create something for it to support the next layer of, filament on. And this model printed this way takes up under half a spool. So if you got a
Okay.
kilogram spool, it's about 400 something grams. And the print takes over a day. It's like a day and 9 hours.
Yeah.
But again, that depends on your settings. So there's a lot of things that you can tweak in your slicer to change how it prints. Um, Obviously, if you want to make a long-term lasting case for your computer, who cares if it takes 1 day or 2 days? You're going to do it once, and then you've got your case. And obviously, the more time you put into the print quality settings, the nicer a case you get. And see, this morning when I took these photos, I was just kind of taking it step by step, as I'm removing all this support material. And it was amazingly easy. I just used my bare hands, and I never had to get out an X-Acto knife. I never had to get out a file. I didn't have to do any post-processing, no sanding, no nothing. All this stuff just broke out really easy. And this is just regular PLA. Here I am starting the print on the lid. You can see where these supports all have to exist underneath, all these little dots. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Might be better to see. All those little dots, that's all the support material starting to be printed under the lid. And let me zoom back out. Go to the next one. Yeah, oops. Yeah, I got a desoldering vacuum tool. Can't wait to use it. Yeah, and so there I am. On this particular case, it turned out that we didn't have enough room in the cavity and the PC board didn't fit inside. So we made a change. This is what's so great about rapid prototyping. You find something doesn't fit right, and so you go back to the model, you make the change in the model, you print another one. Yeah, see, I was sending some measurements to my brother, and we were comparing the dimensions between a couple of different cases to see where the change happened, because keyboards used to fit in there and then they stopped fitting. So we realized there was a little change in the model. Some close-up pictures. Actually, I wanted to rotate this one. A little close-up of our VGA connector, power jack, and our power switch. Rotate this one too. And then viewed from the outside. And rotate this one too. You guys get to watch all the rotations here.
Cool.
Yeah. And then here I actually laid a keyboard in there. This is the one with the water transfer decal, full height key switches. But it shows that we've got, some alignment here with those coming to the motherboard. Oh yeah, then here's the breakout board. Wanted to make sure that that fits in the back, that we've got the clearance in the case there for that. And then it's connected straight up to my Regal
Logic probe.
analyzer. Yeah, logic probe.
I can read upside down.
Yeah. You're multi-talented.
I'm just like all kinds of amazing.
Cover fit. Yeah, and then here we were looking at, different ways to lay the Westby, what makes more sense. We decided to stick with this orientation here. It just makes more sense for the ribbon cable coming off the VGA connector to pop straight into the carrier board here.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, this was my little sketch note to my brother for what the carrier board dimensions are going to be. Looking at this threaded insert's a little crooked.
Yeah.
So I had to go back with the soldering iron. Here's the cover being printed.
So you're using a soldering iron to do the pressing?
I am.
Okay.
And they make special tips that
Yeah.
you can stick into your soldering iron that actually aren't tapered like your normal soldering iron tips.
Yep.
You have better contact surface. But I find just using a regular tapered tip is more than adequate. That one. Okay, here I am printing the raft for the next case.
Oh my God.
The supports go on top of the raft.
Looks like some
My
sort of
My wife picked the colors. This would not be my natural choice, but it actually looks really cool. That pastel mint green, whatever you want to call it. It actually turned out really neat. It makes me think of back in the day when Apple first made those iMacs that were in different colors.
Yeah.
Instead of doing the beige or black that everybody else was doing, that was kind of a neat idea. And so why not do kilo Zs that way? Let's see, hang on. Here we go. Little video of this one printing.
Hmm.
A little bit of a close up. And you can see the infill inside the case. Kind of cool. Oh yeah, and then I figured before I finish printing the entire thing, let's make sure that the keyboard PCB fits inside. So I paused my printer, dropped this thing in there. When I saw that it had just the right amount of play, then I knew, okay, I'm going to resume printing. So then I finished printing. Checked it a couple of times. Uh, yeah, closer to done there. Every once in a while, I just walk out into the garage and snap another picture and see the percent complete. Yeah, and here it is off the printer and on my desk. I love those keycaps. Oh, and I almost forgot. Uh, Here we go. So look at that.
We're still seeing the.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
You want me to
hang
stop your
on.
sharing? Or you,
Let me do this. No, I'm going to. I'll just change my share. Uh, just a second. Where? Let me do this. Okay, I'm going to change and show you guys. So, as a bonus for the Kickstarter, which ends in I think 5 or 6 days now, Kickstarter is almost ending. So, for any of you that want these keycaps, uh, if you want to get them at a better price, join the Kickstarter. Otherwise, you can always get them. It's not like you're not going to be able to get them anymore. It's just that the per set price is going to be higher than what we're offering on the Kickstarter. And so we designed 4 more keycaps. So instead of getting a set of 40, you now get a set of 44. And the reason for that is that I thought it would be really cool for people to have the original ZX81 key layout or the TS1000 layout. So the two keys that are different are your delete or rub out, right? So on the ZX81, it says rub out. On the TS1000, it says delete. And then your enter key on the TS1000 says new line on the ZX81 version. So we added those two keys. And because Luik said, let's just make a whole new column. So that gives us 2 more keys. I made a ZX81 key. The key just says ZX81 on it. It's just like if you wanted to replace one of your keys with something and you know what it is, like maybe your shift key or something, you want to just replace it with something that says ZX81 on it, you can do that. And then the other key is my new term of endearment for anybody that loves the old Zeddy, and that is my wife came up with the name. It's Zedhead. So there's a Zedhead key. So if you think you're a real Zedhead, you put the Zedhead key on your keyboard and replace your Enter key or your Shift key with it. Let me bring up the picture just a second here. That should be down. No, wait, it's in desktop. That's right. And I think it's this one. Eh, Did I? Okay, let me do this. File, save attachments, and desktop. Save. Okay, now we go here. And there it is. Okay, let me open that. And now let me share. Sorry about the delay, guys. Share. Here we go. Okay. So
Oh,
let me zoom in here on the extra keys. Oops. There we go. There's the bonus keys right there. So you can see here you have the delete key, your rub out key,
hmm.
your enter key, and your new line key. And then you've got this ZX81 in red, kind of like it was on the case. And then you've got your Z head. Um, he went decided to slow down the printer and apply more white ink. The last proof set that he sent me is a little bit faded. It's almost kind of gray. And by doing this, we get a bolder white, which is not authentic to the original keyboard because the keyboard is kind of grayish. But I think for most of us being older and our eyesight not being as hot as it was when we were in our early 20s, um, having that higher contrast is actually nice. And I think that the community will forgive that straying from the original color scheme in this realm of being more practical and making it uh, easier to read. And I don't think it takes away from the aesthetic either to have a brighter white than just a kind of a faded gray.
Yeah,
So
it still look
this
good.
is supposed to come onto the Kickstarter page as an update. So it's like a bonus, right? For those people that have already decided to back the project and have ordered a set, we thought it'd be great. And I mean, going forward, this will be for every set. We'll have those four other keys. Any questions?
They look really good, Ingo.
Yeah, I'm very happy with how this is all going. Um, Super exciting to think, 3 years ago when we started playing around with this idea, and then looking at where it's going now. I'm really excited to get the landing page up and have a place where anybody can go and download STLs, or download Gerber files. I do want to bulk order the PCBs for the keyboard
I'm waiting.
and make them available because if everybody goes to JLC PCB to order them, they're going to have to order five and they're going to have to pay all that shipping. It makes more sense to just, post them on Tindy or eBay or something where, or, people can just direct message me and I'll send them one, right?
Yeah.
Uh, as long as it covers my costs, I don't care. And then my brother and I are really interested in offering a completely built Kilo Z, like built, tested, packaged, shipped, complete Kilo Z for anybody that wants to pay for one. And then
I'm
we're still
waiting.
toying with the idea of a kit, as painful as that might be.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a long time since who was it? We were just talking about HeathKit has been around, and you know they were the obviously the OGs of kits, and all the stuff that you could get from them was
Like you could get
crazy. But
professional grade equipment in a kit
yeah,
Hmm.
form there,
Hmm.
yeah,
which is pretty incredible.
yeah. But fig figuring out how you're going to package that and then produce it, and actually, I just went through an experience this weekend where I purchased uh, a synthesizer kit module thing, and uh, everything, um, all the ICs, all the passives it's all surface mount on the board, and you're just soldering on the pots and the jacks and some LEDs and stuff, which is a lot easier because you're not having to sort out resistors. I mean, that's really sort of where it becomes a pain in the ass is, you know, you got not everybody, can look at a resistor and say, "Oh yeah, this is a 100K or this is a 22K resistor," right? So you have to like figure out how am I going to package these for people who have no clue what these color stripes mean.
Mhm.
Um, you know,
Yeah, I mean, the kit might have to be, a mostly populated, mostly assembled motherboard,
yeah.
um, with maybe just, you insert the motherboard, you know, put the parts together, insert the keyboard, plug everything in, I don't know. That's something that's going to require some definite thought. There's so many variables to doing that. The more I think about it, the more it hurts my brain.
Hmm.
So there were, I mean, HeathKit tried to basically make their stuff for like everyone,
Yeah.
and like they had an entire division that, would fix other people's screw ups in that you could send them your attempt at doing the kit and they would fix it for you and make it work and send it back to you, obviously for a cost and things like that. I think that's really not stuff you necessarily want to get into. And like when you start looking at that, you're gonna want to basically pick your audience and decide like I'm going to say this is the minimum tech level that you should have in order to be able to assemble this kit and put it, in big letters on the front of the thing or on in like all the advertising and stuff like that and say like, you know, this is you're going to need to have some experience with electronics or you're going to have, somebody around who has that in order to help
Mm-hmm.
you with this kit. If you really, really want to try and go like, label everything part A, part B, part, ZX, and put them all like on the board and stuff like that, you can try that. But my guess is that that's a lot of effort on your part, and it, that'll start to really eat into things.
Hmm.
That's an
So,
excellent point, and I appreciate you saying that because that's one of the things that I was kind of also thinking about was to just basically make it rather than like selling it as a quote unquote kit like HeathKit did, maybe just making it so that the a person that has the technical skill just doesn't have to bother with sourcing all the components themselves, right? Having to place an order with DigiKey, having to get something on Amazon, having to get something here, having to go to AliExpress for something else, just basically purchasing a bunch of stuff in bulk, throwing everything into like Ziploc bags and whatever, right? And then making that disclaimer, you gotta have these technical chops to successfully build this thing. There's no liability, no responsibility, no guarantees. These are all working components. Everything is included, but it's up to you to build it, right? I think that's a great idea. And thank you for sharing that.
Ingo, how many of these do you expect to unload on people?
That's still the big question mark. My brother and I both think that, I mean, we're taking it from our own perspective that we put all this time and effort into designing and making this thing because this is what we would have wanted back in the day. Now that the budget isn't a concern, like what Sir Clive had to struggle with, what he did, what his mission was. Most of us have a little extra scratch in our pockets, and we can afford to spend a little extra coin um, to have that experience. I think that there's probably quite a few people that would be interested in this, but I have no idea. And that's why I really like to get there's two reasons why I want to get the landing page up. One is to not just rely on Facebook groups and YouTube videos to see how much interest there is, and B, to provide a single place where people can go to get whatever flavor they want, right? So if they want to request a fully built, tested, ready to go unit, plug and play, or if they want a kit with all the parts so they don't have to source everything themselves, because again, everything is going to be open source. We're not holding back on anything. We're going to release all this to the community as open source. But I think there's certain things that paying a few extra bucks are going to make it a heck of a lot easier to do whatever you want to do with it, right? So for those that are adventurous and want to build it themselves, they can. And those that would rather just have this thing show up with FedEx or UPS, and all they got to do is walk over to their monitor and plug it in and start coding right away. In fact, I was even thinking about providing a Wesby that already has a very sizable amount of all the software and games catalog already loaded on it, right? Um, how cool would that be?
Be good.
But yeah, until we put the stuff out there and see what the community response is, it's still just a big question mark. I'm not doing it for the money. This is a passion project for both my brother and for me. And if the community grabs it and runs with it, great. That just means that more people are having fun. I make my money doing something else. This is not about the money. It is strictly about sharing with the community. I also hope that other people jump on the bandwagon and, come up with different upgrades and tweaks. That would be the best part, right? Getting everybody involved. I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
That's
It
pretty
didn't sound like
cool.
a soapbox.
Yeah.
Well,
Soapbox
just
politician.
what kind of what are the parts for in the kit, let's say, for characterizing that?
Yeah, so I think right now we have two major versions, right? I plan on releasing some videos on how to mod your actual PS1000. So like, taking it and putting a modern ULA in it, changing the power supply, adding the memory upgrade. Like just if you have one of these laying around and you want to mod it yourself, that's one version. The other version is going to be Carl's 1068. The 1068 could be shipped out with all the components, all the through-hole components, and maybe with the surface mount stuff already soldered, maybe not. And then there'll be a different version of the Kilo Z case STL file that you would print out for the one motherboard or the other, because they do have some differences. Um, but that's kind of what we're thinking about with the kit, Ryan. You know, having all the stuff. So depending on if you've already got an original board that you want to stick in there, or if you want to get the new 1068 version that has most of the community mods already built into it. That's the really cool thing about the 1068 is you don't need to source something on eBay that's not tested. And it has all the mods already on the board. So you're not running bodge wires and making other boards and trying to find places to stuff things.
But even if you didn't do that, your kit would consist of a 3D printed case, circuit
Right.
board, the key switches, the keycaps.
The
Less of a
jacks,
challenge, and
the
some ribbon
switch, yeah,
cables.
yeah, exactly. I mean that would be one of the values that the kit provides, right? Um, we're printing the case, ensuring the quality and fit of all the parts, including all the parts, sourcing all the parts, doing the basic assembly, like getting a few things, or at least make it so that you can mount the VGA connector, pop in the power jack, hook up the cables. There may or may not be some soldering involved. But yeah, you get all the things you need. Some people might want to 3D print their own cases. Some people might want to go to a print farm and have the case printed. Some people might want to go to my brother and say, "Hey, print the case for me." That's kind of what we're looking at. We want to make everything within reach for anybody for any technical level. The main thing is making it accessible and getting the community involved.
Okay. Cool.
So I'm not really looking at this as a consumer product, but I'm sure there's people out there that just not even interested in doing the tinkering and the building part. They just want to play with it. They want to plug it in, they want to play games on it, or they want to plug it in and they want to do some coding on it, or both.
They want to play Frogger and states and capitals.
That's right.
Mhm.
The flawed version where you got to
Mhm.
put it all in caps.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
You said there was um, plenty of room in the case. Um, I was curious as to how that is. Is that like above the board
Hmm.
as well?
Hmm.
So, what do you imagine people potentially putting in there?
I
Is
mean,
that
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
well? If you don't get I guess I'm trying to remember how the 1068 is. That's a whole board replacement,
Hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, so if you wanted to put in a regular board but wanted to add on some stuff,
Mhm.
um, I was curious, would there be enough room above the board to, like, if you had a board that had a bunch of things on it, um, I guess it was kind of getting to the back edge connector.
Mhm.
The thought that popped in my head was, oh, could you have a thing that fits onto that and provide you kind of a riser, well, probably a horizontal one inside the case of the expansion bus?
Yeah, so here's a little bit of a zoom in on the case where I've got the Westby and I've got a 32K expansion sitting on the motherboard.
Okay,
Um, there's quite a bit
right.
of height here, and so
Yeah,
you could.
if you had like one of those that plugs into one of the sockets, sure,
Mhm.
certainly.
But it wouldn't be difficult to change the position of the motherboard so that rather than accessing the expansion slot from the back outside of the case, that you put an adapter in there, right? That allowed you to put another board on top where you kind of do the double 90, right? Um, there's really no limit. Once you go to a 3D model that's 3D printable, uh, there's no limit to what you can do. And the other thing that I wanted to interject is this case, the constraints for this case, the dimensions, right? The width, the depth, the height are all predicated on the size of the keyboard, which is currently the standard 40 key layout. There's been a lot of discussion and a lot of feedback from the community so far regarding the keys and the keycaps and the keyboard to do a more expanded keyboard, one with a full size space bar, one with two shift keys, one with a more sizable enter key. And so that would be, I'm already kind of in my head calling that the Kilo Z extended. And we were going to go with Mega Z. That's still in the wings. It's still to be considered, but um, the
If you're
having a
gonna make
bigger
it Mega Z,
keyboard
it
makes a
should breathe
bigger
fire.
case. Wait, sorry, Mowgli, what was that?
If you're gonna make it Mega Z, it should breathe fire.
And then whenever you hit the enter key, it makes the Godzilla noise, right?
Yes, that would be cool.
I love it. I love it. We could always fit a Raspberry Pi Pico in there and attach a speaker and make it do that. That would be awesome. Um, but now, if you
No,
imagine the
no, you can't add sound
proportions,
to that system. No one wants a
why
speaker.
not?
No one wants a speaker.
Hey, so Carl's
It'll play
1068
through the game
board
radio.
has sound chips on it. It has sound.
Oh.
I ordered
I
two.
mean, hey, why not, right? But no, so if you think about the
I'm waiting.
proportions of the case staying true
I'm waiting.
to the original design, if you go to a bigger keyboard, now you have more depth, more height, and more width to play with for expansion cards, Ryan. So that's something to think about too.
Yeah. No, I just pictured like, oh, if the board were, you're not trying to get its edge connector out the back and accessible,
Mhm.
because you talked earlier about making sure your breakout board fit, because that could be pretty tight there. Is that you just have sort of an extender, edge
Mhm.
extender, but then it picks off a little right angle connector that's for the inside, but then the
Mhm.
extender makes it
Mhm.
easier to get the edge connector out the back.
I'm right there with you. I thought about that at one point as well, making it so that you have your expansion bus on the inside and the outside. And absolutely, that's
Okay.
totally doable. totally doable.
Yeah, and I guess about the keys was I was trying to look that up. Um, the Kickstarter page said it's a J, what is it? JWA, is that right?
Oh,
Keycap profile.
yeah, it's a unusual name profile. I can't remember what it was, but
And I can't really find a lot about it. I can find you can get like
So
blank
it's
keycaps.
it'll fit your Cherry MX or Gatoron low profile keys switches. I've I've tried them on the regular full height normal profile Gatoron and Cherry MX switches. It's the same X and it fits on
Yeah.
those just as well.
No, I
but
know that it would do that. The question was before you mentioned uh, y'all's work on an emulator keyboard.
Mhm.
I was just trying to find one, like at least like a key set to populate the rest of the keys with keys that would match um, these, and then
Gotcha.
replace the relevant keys with the keys from the Kickstarter, and then
Mhm.
populate like a regular keyboard. Um,
So you know what,
I
Louis,
was just trying to
the
find
guy
like
that
a source for a full key set, basically.
yeah, so I don't know. There may be one out there, but here's another interesting little tidbit, and I'm going to do a spot for 3D KeyCap right now. He published an online tool on his site that allows you to design your own keycap set by uploading images. And his tool, I haven't used it yet. I want to check it out because he and I did it a different way for this key set. But he created this tool. So if you go to his site, you can go onto his keyboard builder and you can basically paste in all your own legends and create a project file. And I'm guessing from that, he will quote you what it'll cost and print it and send it out. So it's an online keyboard builder. And so
Okay.
if you took a generic 60% or 75%, I think are the two of the standards, took a 60% keyboard and set that layout and then went in and populated what you wanted where, uh, you could then print that out and use it on a regular keyboard. I think that's what you were talking about, right, Ryan?
Yeah. So it would
Okay.
be similar to what I've done with my keyboard here, only I put stickers on blank keys, but then the rest of the key set that I had remained in place for, escape, tab, and all the rest. Um, but then the blank keys I got were a match for the keys that existed so that there's no height or
Got it.
shape difference. And
Mm-hmm.
then, yeah. And then I just use that versus having a second keyboard. But you're the one that you showed though, since it was just a 40 key thing, it's it's going to be pretty compact.
Uh-huh.
So as a sort of a sidecar uh, keyboard, that wouldn't be too bad either.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. It might get a little goofy with the enter key, right? Because now you're gonna have two enter keys, I guess. Um, is the ones in the well, no, I guess yeah, you could probably do
No,
something with that. Yeah. Yeah. Michael was gonna say something, I think, at one point when we were going back and forth. Michael, did you have a question? Or you're muted. Okay. I guess not.
don't know. Um, Ryan, I found a couple JWA key sets on AliExpress, including this massively beautiful rainbow set that I just put in the chat.
Oh, wow.
Here, I'll share for everybody else that isn't.
That's like a 70s color scheme right there.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
like 70s
you got
kitchen
the
tile or
brown,
bathroom tile.
you got the goldenrod, You got the avocado.
There's something actually cool about that.
Those colors are those colors are
Call me a
something else.
freak. There's something really retro about that. I like that.
You could be the first one to order it then. You could be the
I I
very
I
first one.
might I might be. Don't tempt me.
Yeah, those are something. Oof. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, like all keycap sets, they're not cheap, but they're
No,
available.
no, they're definitely not cheap.
Yeah. Um, Anybody else have stuff they want to talk about? Either of the Jeffs?
I have a question about last weekend. You said on Saturday you were going to work on the TS Pico a little bit. Did you guys get a chance to do that?
We talked about it a lot. People
Oh,
kept coming
okay.
up and asking us questions and pointing at things, and they wanted to tell us how the 1000 was their first computer and that sort of jazz.
That's how
Um,
you lost your voice
yes.
by saying yes. Oh, cool. Yes,
Yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Talking over, it was pretty loud in there. Um, and yeah, I just was talking from like 9 in the morning until 5 o'clock and woof. Yeah. But no, we did, um, Ricardo spent some time um, with his computer and the other Picos that I brought. One of the things that we think might be a factor is where the Pico chip itself came from. Like I bought a batch from I think from Adafruit, and those would have been, official made by Raspberry, whatever the corporation is, official Picos. And then I bought a bunch from China, which are, legit. Now, I won't say clones, but, legit Picos, except that there is something different about, how those ones from China were made versus the ones that were made for Raspberry. And the only way I know this is because the Raspberry Pi ones, or the Raspberry ones, have a really bright green LED, and the ones that I've sourced since then have a much calmer LED. Like it doesn't light up the room. The other one's really, really bright.
So you're saying
Um,
you think it's an incompatibility between the actual Raspberry
uh,
Pi?
Not an incompatibility, but a slight difference in the other parts that are on the board. So the issue that we think is happening is that when it switches from talking to the SD card to back to talking to the 2068, there's this one data line that Gustavo's code is monitoring, and if that line is in an unknown state, it could be in the state that um, Gustavo's code is expecting, and then Gustavo's code sees that, oh, Pico's done. I'm gonna go off and do my own thing now, right? Go back to regular processing, uh, except that the Pico, is now getting ready to send a command, and this command gets sent, and you know, Gustavo's code is like, what is this? That's not a code. That's an error, which makes all kinds of sense. So we worked with Claude on some ideas, and um, Ricardo has his own favorite theory for how to solve it. I have my own favorite theory for how to solve it. We'll see which one wins, which should be interesting.
Well,
No,
good luck.
it's very interesting that the cloud solution or presentation are impressive with the final paper.
Well,
Really,
right.
yeah.
And so it took just for, sort of context here. Um, Up to that point, I had only been working with Claude and the MicroPython code. And so what it didn't have was the schematic. It didn't know other details. And so at a certain point, I fed it the schematic and I said, the only thing missing from this schematic is this resistor that we put on the data bit 6
Mm.
of the data bus, which pulls it down. And Claude read the schematic and figured out, from that, you know, sort of the electrical connections of the Pico board itself, which is kind of amazing to me. I'm still a little bit blown away by that. But then based on that, and also I told it that Ricardo had tried to implement using PIOs, which are these sort of special sub-processes that can run on a Pico. And they have their own sort of dedicated CPU and registers too. It's amazing stuff. I told him that I told Claude that Ricardo had tried to implement PIOs for both ports 14 and 15, and he couldn't get it to work. There was contention between the two. And Claude came up with a solution that used a local register within the PIO to, in essence, trap that D6 line, and do the necessary communication on port 15, and then switch to port 14 for the data stuff, which is just amazing given that you have, I think, a total of 19 instructions that the PIO can do and only 32 spaces in which to do it. So it's pretty crazy stuff.
Yes, and also another impressive stuff for Claude is he analyzed the binary image of the ROM.
Okay. Yes. Yes. I asked him to reverse engineer your ROM.
Perfect. I love it.
Because I wanted to know, sort of the inner workings, and I was like, "How is this?" And really, all I did was say, "Here's the Timex ROM. Here's Gustavo's ROM. What's the difference?" And not only what's the difference, but explain. Like not just disassemble it, but figure out what's going on and explain what the code is doing. And it does. It's
It's incredible. It's really incredible. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but Gustavo's lawsuit's in the mail, so look out for that, okay?
No, I seek a job now with Claude. No.
Um, yeah, yeah. So it's really cool. Um, anybody, Jeff Jeff Burrell. I know Jeff K, you're going to one of the VCFs in the not too distant future, right?
Yeah, so the end of May, and that's why I was interested in kind of your experience at VCF East, just the questions you were asked. And you showed states and capitals. You kind of bummed me that Louisiana's still kind of a damaged graphic, but that's okay. I mean, I appreciate Adam having my back on that. But no, I mean, it's good. And so the fact, I mean, I'm not happy that you're hoarse, but I'm happy that enough foot traffic that people are interested in your table and stuff. That's good to hear.
Yeah, on Sunday, which was the slow day, and when they kicked us out, apparently there were like 500 of us, between the people displaying and the vendors and the visitors, at the end of the day on, 2:30 on a Sunday. So it was packed on Saturday, packed wall to wall, no pun intended. Um, but it was good. Not nearly as big as Midwest. Midwest is definitely the big kahuna for this sort of thing, at least in my experience. But lots of people. And what was kind of cool was at least two or three folks, some of whom were the actual organizers of the show, uh, came and thanked us for showing up because apparently no one has come there before to show off Sinclair computers, Timex computers, whatever. And I was like, oh, cool.
Well, how long has that one been going? Has it been going on a much shorter time?
Yeah, it's a shorter time. I'm not sure how many years, but years. It's been going on a few years at least. Um,
Well, in the museum, they didn't have no Timex Sinclair computers in there, but in 2024 when I was there, they had some.
did they? Okay.
They had the 1000 and they had the 1500.
Okay.
But
Cool.
but they said they have a 2068, but I guess they don't always put it out. They said eventually they want to build onto the museum because they got a lot of stuff in the warehouse someplace.
I forgot to mention, so I'm standing there talking to somebody, and they said, "Oh, in the consignment room, there's one of these," and he points at the 2068, and he says, "And there's stuff coming out of the back, like there's stuff plugged into it or whatever." I was like, "Oh, okay, interesting." So Ricardo goes to investigate, and he sends me a picture, and it's a 2068 with an expansion slot and a Pico video.
Oh,
So I'm like, "Oh, well, who was this?" that they put up their system for consignment.
huh.
Yeah, and it had been assembled. The Pico was in the wrong slot, or it's like, oh, it's not going to work that way. That's for sure.
Well, speaking of VCFs, I haven't made any formal arrangements, but I would really, really love if my brother and I could attend the one in Mountain View August 1st and 2nd, which is at the Computer History Museum in
Oh,
Mountain View, right next to Google's campus. I think that would be very interesting. I'm sure it's not going to be nearly as big, even as VCF East, but I don't know how much room they have. I know they have like a conference space on the second floor. I've just never gone up there. Uh, but we're moving from where I live in Mendocino right now, north of San Francisco. Our next house that we're going to lease is in Napa Valley, the wine country. It's
Is
going to
that
put
because you
me.
need more room for kilozeds?
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
mhm.
and our manufacturing hall.
Okay.
Um, but I really, my brother and I have gone to the Computer History Museum twice now, and it's kind of like our pilgrimage. It's a great museum, great facility. They have nice working machines. They have a working IBM, as a 1400 or something like that. They have a PDP-1, plays Space War, and has the original creator show up once in a while. But at any rate, I would love to do a VCF there. So if anybody has the means and the interest to be in the Bay Area or Silicon Valley, August 1st and 2nd for a VCF there, let me know. We can plot and scheme together.
Well, I think Tim Swenson.
Yeah, he's in that area. I think it would be very easy for him to at least pop in one day, right? Even if he doesn't set up a table or anything.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, are
I
you
was going
setting
to
up a
reach out to
table?
him for sure. I will, yeah.
Oh,
I think if we get enough progress with KiloZ, I would love to set up a KiloZ table and kind of show off the KiloZ and whatever else we're working on, maybe the emulator keyboard, and then any of the other projects that us together have been working on, maybe showcase some stuff. If you guys want me to showcase some of the Pico stuff, that would be fun. But I know it's probably difficult for a lot of you to make, travel arrangements to be there for an event that I don't even know how big it's going to be. I don't know if there's any, I'll have to check and see if there's any videos on YouTube for that particular venue. But I'm guessing it's probably not very big.
I'm surprised because of its location. I would think
I
like a
know,
lot more people would
I know.
go.
You would think, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's we're talking Silicon Valley here, Mountain View, right next to Google's campus. It's just like, uh, yeah.
So one of the things that generally inhibits people from going is that basically what you're doing is you're buying a day at the museum, and as a side effect, you get the VCF.
Oh, is that how that
Um,
works? You have to pay
yeah, so
admission?
you basically have to pay the admission price of the museum in
Oh,
order to attend the VCF.
oh, that's a
And
bummer.
that is higher than pretty much all of the other VCFs. So
Yeah.
this is one of the reasons why it kind of sort of cuts down on that.
Uh,
Hey, Mowgli, you have any idea what the admission to the museum costs?
No, but I assume it's on their website. I
Okay.
mean, last
yeah,
time I went was in 2018 when I was
it's like
there
20
for
something bucks, I think.
it
So,
was I thought it was like $30 when I was there in 2018
Maybe.
for
okay.
Worldcon, and I doubt it's gone down.
No, I'm sure it hasn't.
The The VCF, the
Uh,
1 day entrance fee a Saturday for VCF East was like 23 or $27,
it was
which
free in Midwest was free, wasn't it?
I think it was, or just
Yeah.
So Midwest is special. Midwest basically attempts to maintain being free for attendees, and they do this because they have some people who basically kind of underwrite it on the back end.
oh,
And also they do make a fair amount of money in their auction because they do get some pretty interesting stuff. And maybe Jason's personality helps a little bit in the auction. Who knows? Um, but yeah, so VCF Midwest basically aims to be different. Most of the other VCFs, as far as I know, you have to pay something for, but in most cases, it's not very expensive.
okay,
Like
Here's the oh, I'm sorry.
21
Sorry, didn't
bucks.
mean to cut you off, Mowgli.
no, I just meant to say, like, I think West is the most expensive of the other VCFs or of the
Okay,
VCFs.
okay, wow,
Well, VCS East, it was $46 for the intermission, the ticket, and that includes $12 to the museums.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Well, this one's not too bad. I mean, for anyone 18 and older, it's 2150, but then they have a senior discount, they have a student discount, they have a military educator, and a youth is anyone 8 to 10 is only $6. Anybody 0 to 7 is free. So that's not bad.
I
we've
don't
got
think
a lot
that
of
that's
youth.
any of us here.
Well,
No, but I mean, even 2150 for all of us,
Oh,
right?
sure, yeah.
One, and some of us are over 65, right?
Shut
no,
up.
none of us are over
Shut
65.
Shut up.
We're all like, 43, 44, something like that. Yeah.
That's right.
We got our 1000s when we were zero. Um, cool.
Yeah, so the VCF West is interesting because, of course, they have the whole like West Coast drawn, and so they often have talks that involve like people from Apple or people from other major companies who come in and talk about like the development of a font or the development of this or that on, particular computers. They have. So in from what I have seen of West, and I have not actually attended it, they there the talks are actually kind of more of a draw in some ways than some of the other stuff. Um, but there's still the other stuff there, and there's still people who bring their stuff just to exhibit it, and so on and so forth.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go to a VCF, but then also be able to see a museum, the Computer History Museum is impressive. It has a very large catalog of very early computing. Um, it's very comprehensive. I think like just having an opportunity to see that, like I said, my brother and I have gone twice, and we'll probably go a few more times before uh we kick the bucket. But to combine that with the VCF, and the fact that it's just a little over $20 a person, it's still not bad. I'm definitely gonna try and make that happen. So if anybody else is interested, just let me know between now and probably July, maybe mid-July. Probably still enough time to plan something.
Okay. I think I showed you. So first, I want to thank Joe for putting up with me sending him a box full of hundreds of discs and slogging through those hundreds of discs. I mean, it's amazing. So, Paul Holmgren sent me a big box full of 5 1/4 inch floppy disks, and then other people have sent me 5 1/4 inch floppy disks, and most of them were either Larkin or Oliger disk used for the Larkin or Oliger disk systems. Um, and that makes it sound like, oh, this won't be too difficult, except especially with the Oliger, uh, you know, commercial disk drive systems like the Apple disk, if I recall correctly, it was like a 35 track. Most, other, home computers, microcomputers had 40 track, as their standard 40 tracks per side. So you had a total of 80 tracks. Uh, Oliger allowed you to have essentially as many tracks as your disk drive would support. And so folks, for God knows what reason, because, it's not like disks were made of gold back then, they would decide, I'm going to go and, have a 41, 42, or 43 track, 5.25 inch floppy. It's not like it created a huge amount of additional space, and Timex programs weren't exactly huge. So, it was, I don't know. Anyway, so Joe had to wrestle with that. Um, all these odd, architecture decisions that people made at a personal level for storage. Then also on top of that, Oliger had two versions of their DOS, basically. And the first one, literally, it just created numbered slots on the disk. And so you would type in load uh, slash quote one, and it would load whatever was in slot number one. You didn't have file names, you just had slot numbers, right? Um, and then with his version two of his system, you got file names and directories and all the things that you expect out of a DOS. Larkin always supported file names and directories and etc. Um, then there was Airco, which
Could the DOSes be used with the other hardware or not?
interestingly, yes,
Okay.
you could use the Larkin DOS with the Oliger hardware because the Larkin sat on a cartridge, whereas Oliger's um, uh, chip with the DOS was in an expansion slot in the back. It was essentially acted like a cartridge as well. It got mapped into the dock slot, but it was a little easier with Larkin. And also, they both used the same drive controller chip, which made it easier. Airco had its own disk drive formatting. Plus, they also supported their own sort of special variant of CPM called RPM. Um, and then, as we discovered, there were some QL disks for the Sinclair QL. So, Joe would be scanning some disks and he'd come across something, oddball, and he says, "Here, this thing is not working with the Python scripts that you wrote." And so I would, go drop it into Claude and say, in essence, figure it out. I didn't give it really any clues other than, maybe a guess that I could get just by peeking at the data in a hex editor. And Claude would figure it out in about 30 to 40 minutes and come back with, a routine for extracting data from that disk. It was pretty crazy. Um, so, Joe's doing this and then he's uploading images with the stuff that's been extracted. And I go start looking at it and I'm like, oh, this is a lot of information, right? I mean, I wanted to look into some of the files. I wanted to see what was inside them. And, it quickly dawned on me that using command line Python tools for this was going to be slow, to say the least, not really efficient. So I asked Claude to write me a desktop app. And then with each kind of thing that I discovered on these disks, uh, I would go back to Claude and say, here's a disk. It's got these special things like these are fonts. And I would tell it just a little bit about the fonts. It would figure them out and, give me a preview of the fonts. And at one point I was like, oh, can we export those as open type? I don't know why I even bother asking anymore. And because the answer is always, yes, there's some way to do it. So, um, now I have this ability to, see these custom fonts that people design for the 2068 and then export them as individual, font files you would load on your 2068, but also as true type. Same thing for images. There was an icon format that the desktop publishing and like the greeting card designer programs that Zebra wrote. Again, I just gave Claude the disk, said figure it out, add this to my program. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you where is my program. Here we go. So in this case, I'm looking at this disk full of fonts for the 2068. Right, here's one that's 5 by 5. I don't know why you would have this weird boxy thing. Um, a semi-fancy font.
Well,
That's
go back
not
to the weird boxy one.
the
What
boxy
did you
one,
mean?
yes.
I didn't. Why do you say it's weird? It doesn't look weird to me.
Well, it's got this left hand and bottom border on each letter.
Oh, that's part of the actual font?
Yeah, it's almost like it's a chiclet or a tile.
Yep. Yeah. I think
Huh.
it's the same font as this,
Is that
but
for a crossword program?
yeah, maybe. But here, cursive. Or this one's called Grand Prix. There's a one that's called Sinclair, a little stencil font, theoretically Times New Roman or something like that. Everybody
Looks
knows a
good,
Western
actually.
font when they see one.
It looks good.
Yeah, and like I said, it'll export all these things. And you can load them into the 2068, and actually, I showed Ricardo this, and his thought was, well, we should make a program that lets you, because the Pico ROM is in Flash, we should make a program that lets you replace the default font built into the Flash with one of these, which,
The length is 768. This is the length of the standard
yeah,
font
exactly.
size
Exactly,
of the
Gustavo.
ROM. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Let me go see if I can find the icons one. I think I showed you guys my program looks at the code and tries to figure out what the program the main program loads and tries to package it together for you. So that's what happened here. This LSD logo, that's an image, yeah. This LSD logo gets loaded in this basic program. So that's why it's showing up there, but I like to do it by hand sometimes. So let me see if I can, is this right? This is that's not a good example of these. Here, I'll show you one. There we go. So these little things that you would use in, like print shop, but the Zebra equivalent, or in this case, the Pixel Print equivalent. Absolutely crazy.
What I remember it was when I was in middle school or junior high, is people would make these banners on their
Yeah,
apples
yeah,
at the school, and they would just print forever, and then they'd put them up on the wall, or the teachers would use them and be like, "Yeah, was that a thing on the Timex?" Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Stewart and Zebra made a banner program equivalent of um of that what was that, print shop on the
yeah,
Apple,
hmm
right? Also, print shop could let you create greeting cards, but it was like an
yeah,
8.5. I think you folded it, and
right. You
same
fold it in
thing.
fours, I think, or something
Yep,
like that.
yep.
Yeah.
Greeting card designer was available from Zebra, and as a
And
matter
in
of fact,
fact, the print shop for it, you could even buy the special paper, so you could have like the greeting card look like a more like a greeting card, and you print it on this paper that
yeah,
was yeah, yeah,
yeah, print
yeah.
shop was a little
Because
industry.
why go to Hallmark when you can print your own,
And you could go to
Yeah.
Broderbund,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I, when I was young, I created the program using the 80 columns in a Epson printer. I convert the font 8-bit in the 2068 to the 80 columns of the printer. And I print over the 12 inches paper in vertical, the phrase. Very simple. It's 10 asterisks per dot
yeah,
in the letter.
yeah.
Yes, who's the width of the print. It's a
If
custom
you
program to do that. Yeah.
if you search the groups posts for banner 3, you'll see the one that I posted. It was a update to my old banner program from back in the day.
I wonder if I put that on your page, Ryan.
Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't look there. So it looks like what I added was because the original didn't do inverse or the UDG characters.
Okay.
I think it was. And I added that.
And your program, Ryan, prints to the 2040 or?
At least I think that's what I added. Let's see, what did I say there?
Yeah, the one that I have, Ryan, is I'll just drop it in the chat, is the I think the original one that you wrote in 84.
Yeah, I recovered that off of the
tape.
User group tape.
Yep.
And then I tweaked it because
why not?
Right.
Yeah. Let's see.
To tweak or not to tweak? That is the question.
The answer is always yes, to tweak. Yeah. So anyway, I'm finding lots and lots of interesting programs that I'll be adding to the site in the not too distant future. There's
Pulled from the disks, you mean?
Yeah, from the disks. Yeah, there's a CAD.
So they'll have to, and you're making it so they'll load from tape though.
I'm making them into tap files.
Okay.
Which you could use a tap to wave converter to turn it into physical tape if you wanted. But they'll load in emulators and on the 2068 with with the TS-Pico.
Right.
And on the Westby,
because go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, the Westby is
you can load tap files, can't you?
Oh
no, .p. Sorry, .p. They have to be .p.
.p. Yeah, and it has to be for the 81 or 1000.
That's right.
These are all 2068 things. Anyway,
that's right.
He's never heard of the 2068. He's stuck in the 1000.
Yeah, Ingo has no.
It's okay.
I own one. I just haven't started playing with it yet. Just wait till I get done with the kilos end.
Oh, okay.
My brother and I are going to attack the 2068. Yeah, it's nothing safe.
Nothing's.
And real quick, there was one other thing that I thought was worth mentioning to the group that I forgot to mention earlier in all my excitement with the kilos ed. So I've been in communication with Che Mundi. I hope I'm saying his name right. Over Facebook, and he volunteered to help Carl and me with the troubleshooting of the 1068 version 2 board. So I'm going to be shipping him one of the boards that Carl gave me at VCF Midwest with some parts so that he can kind of join the team in getting that board functional. And but I reached out to Carl yesterday. I haven't heard back from him yet, and I know he's busy all the time, so I'm not like freaking out yet. But if anybody's talked to Carl or will be talking to Carl, I want to make sure I talk to him first about. He already said it's cool for Jay to work with us, but yeah, I think that'll help getting another person on the team. So that's the latest on the 1068 front.
And before we go, I want to make sure that Ryan sees this because Ryan, you probably have not had a chance to look. I stole your top of the screen motif. I specifically asked Claude to look at NoTap and give me something that was similar to that.
Did you?
No file, rather. Yes. It's not as snazzy as the one that Ryan made because Ryan's has like the text in the white space is in that sort of Sinclairish font.
Oh, I'm glad you showed that because Ryan was over here yesterday and we were messing about just for a bit. We actually went to a car show, but when we got back, we were using my 2068 and the video, the new video. I don't know, is it the third version of it that I got?
Pico video?
Yeah. Is it I don't know what version of it. It's the newest one. But the difference between the colors on my TV and the Pico video are so different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, which is right?
The Pico video. So
Pico video?
there are two pots that you can adjust inside the 2068 to fix the color because the color
Well,
drifts
Carl
over
did all
40.
that for me before, and he's like, it's like perfect. My TV was perfect, and so like I'm like, I don't know. It just I'm like they're so different,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, the
yeah,
raw video out of my 2068 is terrible. I mean, the colors are just all wonky,
are
and I've
they
not even
okay?
bothered to try to retune it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe. Well, I mean, is it that those pots have drifted or something? Is that
I
common?
think that's the case. Yeah. Something has drifted for sure.
That you have to keep doing it periodically?
And I've tried it once, and it's just so fiddly trying to adjust it to get the colors right. It's really because the one is R minus Y, the other one is B minus Y, and they interact, and yeah, it's just ridiculous. I don't know how they would. I don't know how they got them tuned in the first place. Let's put it that
with
way.
an O scope.
Oh, of
There
course.
is a procedure to do it with an O scope and have all three channels up and then balance all three of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the problem is NTSC depend of the phase of the carrier.
Yeah. Use a vector analyzer for it.
Right, a
Yes,
vector scope. Or
right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there's a scope that they use in TV studios that has
Ex-
it's got a circular pattern and like little
Exactly. It's a vector scope.
markings.
It's
Yeah.
the
The
vector
important
scope.
point is that you probably don't have the equipment.
I do not.
Right.
I did look into buying it, but I do not have that. I knew what I
No,
Thank you,
needed.
Ryan.
yes, that's why
Uh,
you have the tint or the phase compensation in the TV, because in the transmission, in the normal transmission by air, you always need to compensate that.
True.
The PAL system used in Europe not have this issue because the phase alternate any line 180 degree and
Yeah.
compensate the out of phase issue. But for me, the real color are show on the VGA because it's digital to digital.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, our next meeting is, let's see, today's the 26th. 2 Mondays hence. Monday the 4th, 9 p.m. The day before Cinco de Mayo. And if you're an Arrested Development fan, it's Cinco de Cuatro. Is
All right.
is when we're meeting.
And if, I'm guessing I was going to say, of course, but we don't have an agenda.
No, not
Okay.
unless you guys,
Just
have something that you wanna chat about. I mean,
okay.
I'm sure I'll stumble across. Oh, you know what? Yes, I will. I do have things that I can bring. Some guy in the Czech Republic has made this Spectrum Paint Studio app
Oh, you
that's
posted
like a
about that. Yeah,
JavaScript
yeah.
thing that is astounding. The stuff that it does, it's amazing.
Yeah, I took a look at it, but I have no use for that. But maybe you can show it off and you can
Right,
for your next game you
right,
write this
right. I'm
week.
gonna see if he'll come join us for one of our meetings and
Oh,
explain it
okay.
to us because that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So on that note, have a good
Awesome.
afternoon.
All
Good
right.
seeing y'all.
Bye, guys.
See you in
See
2 weeks.
See you
you next week.
guys. Bye.
Bye.